Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. With 4 race starts, we're going to start with our Category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders lined up in yellow, that is our Category 1 riders. In green, our Category 2. In blue, Category 3. And Category 4 riders, the attacking is so frantic in the bunch behind Michael Knudsen that they're holding the gap to Knudsen down. He's got a little bit more time than he had, but it's not a huge amount. Here they come. Jones is taking advantage of this. We're at 39.1k. We are coming in. And look at this. Jones has decided now is the moment. He's going to go for that. He's used that little bit of a springboard. Jones, the master of going to the front when it really, really matters. He attacked and he attacked again. It's going to be victory, though. He solos clear. Michael Vink takes the win on qualifier number 1.
With 200 metres to go on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, Vink has once again shown us how to ride away from a pack, how to ride away from a class field and time trial effort to the finish, as Vink covers the last few metres of the race and takes the win today.
Ilpino is onto the descent, he's into the dip, the gantry is coming. Francis Ilpino, what a ride!
He's got just around 100 metres now. That banner is coming as Knudsen continues. Even though Osborne is putting out big watts behind, Knudsen is pushing, Knudsen is pushing, Knudsen is going to stay clear just, I think, to take this win today.
Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's 2023. Happy New Year. It's qualifier race 1 on January the 1st of the 1st. And my name is Matt Payne. And with me in the studio is Emma Martin. Emma, we saw an amazing run through 2022. We rounded it out with an amazing final that was on Wollongong in our men's and women's races. Brilliant to see so much action and on the course, and we saw Michael Vink, the man who had taken a string of victories, not able to finish it off.
I know, it was amazing. It is great to be back for 2023, and Matt's right, what an amazing 2022 we had, and witnessing Knudsen do a Michael Vink himself to take the win on the December final was outstanding. But we are here, it is the 1st of January, and we are on qualifier number 1.
Indeed, and in Alula, one of my favourite worlds to ride on MyWhoosh, and a great course.
Yeah, so the course today, 45 kilometres for the men, 506 metres of elevation today. And you can see on the screen in front of you, they are going to face 4 climbs today. And that final climb is the big one. That final climb sees the finish banner right at the top. It's a Category 3 climb. It's 6.2 kilometres in length with an average gradient of 5.2%. But we know it's a stepped climb and there are some small downhill sections on it. So we will see gradients go much higher than that average gradient of 5.2%.
And along the way, Emma, of course, to give us a snapshot, we have the segments on the way through as well. 7 segments, which gives us a window. They're discrete segments for those people who've maybe not seen this before.
They are indeed. They are discrete segments. So it's not the person who goes through the segment at the front of the race. It's a timed segment. So we get to see what's actually happening within the race through those time segments. And the last one comes 1.1k from the finish line.
So as you can see, our 4 categories lined up. We're going to kick off with Category 4 in the red. And as you can see, you're just running into that very last few seconds. We have a real wide range of individuals. Any names stand out there particularly, Emma?
Yeah, so we have indeed Mendoza in there, Ruiz in there, Sorayas in there. We've got some really good Finati, Goldblum, these riders, 10 of them in total today on the start line.
So here we go, the start of 2023 on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, and away we go with our 4th category riders kicking off the action as they make their way out of the pens. We're following Ledo Mendoza, and it's going to be a very quick start today. Category 4 have really been ripping it up in 2022.
Yes, we saw Acevedo, Mendoza, Suarez, Rue take the 1, 2, 3, 4 in the December final last week. These riders, in fact, our winning rider, Acevedo, has not on the start sheets today. So open for a different winner today, which would be really great to start the new year.
Indeed, and I think some of these names that we see in here, I mean, with people like Finati in here, Mendoza, Goldborn, Suarez, Kamze as well. I mean, they're riders who we know are regularly in the mix, and so it is a quality race of field that is setting off, and the target of these is about getting as much head start as possible, whilst the rest of the race field is held on that start line.
It is indeed, so recently introduced for our viewers who may have not watched the last couple of weeks, 4 different race starts with the category 4 riders starting with the first start time. Now, these riders are on the road on their own at the moment, but they won't be shortly. Shortly, they will be joined by the category 3 riders, then the category 2 riders, and then the category 1 riders with the latest start time. So this group of riders really pushing on, working well as a group to stay clear of the next start wave for as long as possible.
And at the moment, looking like they're working well together. And that is the key, because being in the draft, making sure that you can get the maximum speed out of the group. This is where the group really, really helps. And as you can see on the screen, our individuals up for prize money in the races. And that is absolutely key. And they know that they really, really want to be pushing on to get that prize money, because prize money is, of course, what is that extra motivation, as well, of course, as getting the bragging rights and knowing that you were the fastest on the day.
Well, yeah, it is indeed. And obviously, esports and e-racing is a more newer category of bike racing. And the ability to take a win, take a prize, is a fantastic opportunity, and prizes through to first to fifth in all of the 4 categories in the individual competition, and equal prize money between the men and the women.
Indeed, and that is really key, isn't it, as well? It means that we are going to see that equality. We've seen those fields, race fields building. The quality of the riders in those fields really are continuing to increase as well. So as the racing continues, our riders in category 4 really starting to wind up working well as a group. They're in the red. Our next category away, they are going to be category number 3. There are the riders in the blue jerseys. I'll be followed by the green jerseys of the category 2, and then finally our category 1 in those yellow jerseys. However, at the moment, category 3 is the riders who have got the next start time, and they are the riders that we're going to see hit that course next. So let's see who is going to take that on the front. Who's going to take that away? You can see 3 sets of riders waiting. Category 4 are well down that road. So the riders really are pushing on, and currently 2K covered, and that'll be a lot more, won't it, by the time we get into the start line? Be 2.5K. Now, our third category riders are about to set off. Some really good teams in here. The UAE Road Warriors Team Strikers, Fat and Furious, and Core One, all in the mix. The UAE Road Warriors always present. Fat and Furious, so had a great race last time round.
Yeah, they did indeed. In fact, we saw some fantastic riding last time round. 27 riders on the start sheets today, and those 4 teams. So really looking forward to this category 3 race today. Always very competitive.
Yeah, and there's some really good individual riders down on this start line as well as Bruno Semio. We've got the riders, people like Mark Dadson, Parisi. We've got Cameron Dadson in as well. Florian Drummond had a great race last time out as well. And we've got, of course, Andres Restrepo in the individuals. So it's going to be interesting to see who takes this out.
Yeah, it is indeed. So we are in with our December final winner of the category 3 race as we are watching the countdown to the start today. So as we see the power kick, our category 3 riders are underway on the qualifier 1 of the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club for 2023.
So category 3 riders away. This is the first chase. 3 chasing 4 at the moment. 3 minutes 45 on the road. You can see that the team here in the blue, which is the whole of the race field, because essentially you've got to work as one team here even though you've got individual teams, getting the catch made is key.
It is indeed, and the draft is so important, and getting the start off the start line and that kick off the start line to enable you to remain with a large group of riders and work together through and off on the front, keeping the pace high. And the ability to keep that pace high is part and parcel of that group, because that large group enables riders to draft, enables riders to not have to push as hard as they necessarily need to, but the dynamics allow the pace to pick up and that group to push away from the start line, but pull towards the category 4 riders who are down the road.
Indeed, you can also make that time gap to category 2 bigger and category 1 and mean that you are in with a chance. And we've seen this time and time again, category 3 and category 4 riders really only getting caught in the last few kilometers of the racing time and time again. And we've seen a category 2 rider in Il Pino taking the win up on to the big climb, and that was coming up onto the Alula climb, and that was a really interesting ride. And this course does pay to go hard early up those climbs and then drop down at pace. Category 3 riders at the moment pushing out some serious wattage. We're seeing well over 200 watts coming out from most of the riders in category 2, just under 200 for most of the riders in category in category 3 to category 4, just under the 200 marker most of the time, but not always. And they're very similar, aren't they? It's a matter of degrees between these two categories.
It is indeed, but you were quite right in terms of the category 4 riders getting approximately 2.5 kilometres down the road before the category 3 riders started. It's just under 2.5k separating these two race packs at the moment. So that's going to be really interesting to see how our category 3 riders close that gap down and where they make that catch. We have a much bigger gap this time round to our category 2 riders, a 10-minute start gap between category 3 and category 2. So I'm anticipating our category 3 riders and our category 4 riders will be well down the road, probably 5 kilometres for our category 3 riders before those category 2 riders start. But it really is resonant of how strong the front of our category 1 and category 2 field is.
It is indeed, and the category 2 race fields are very, very strong indeed. It's one of those race fields that we always know is going to be chasing hard. However, I'm loving the fact that both these groups at the moment are not really dropping any of the riders. They're continuing to push on here. We're in with Andres Restrepo here, and sitting at 151 beats per minute. They're working well as a pack, but not absolutely on the limit. And that's key, isn't it? You've got to get that recovery in before you go up onto the front. As we see Ephraim Mamba take over the front, 171 beats per minute. So pushing pretty hard here on the front, and it shows that distance as well, of course, is affected by the gradient. And that's one of the things that you can't discount. We've got this relatively flat start to 1.7k, but then we start to climb upwards. And that's where we start to rise. And the first of the climbs, not categorized, is from 1.7 right the way up to what is effectively 4k into the race routes.
Yeah, it is indeed. And there are 3 climbs on this course today before that category 3 final climb. They are long, but they are not steep. So we will see gradients between 1 and 4% on these climbs, enough to push the power, enough to stretch the group. As we can see, Mark Dadson here stretching this group of category 3 riders out. Lopez is starting to respond. Simeo there is as well. Restrepo is in that group pushing on. So is Martinoli. But this is Dadson making the most of that slight climb and the slight rise on this course at the moment, as he takes this right hand bend to just stretch his legs and to just stretch that large group of riders.
So as these riders push, Dadson is really on the offensive. You see that the numbers up there really are big, and he's having to do that, I think, because he wants to thin the group down. It may well be the case that he wants to lose a few of the bigger riders on the run. It may be that he wants to lose a few, weaken the legs of a few of the climbers for that really big final climb. And remember, of course, the prizes for the riders are in their own categories, not overall.
Yeah, and you're right about that final climb, Matt. We saw people lose minutes on that final climb last time we raced on this course. It is absolutely a key decider. So tactics around how many people you take with you into the bottom of that climb absolutely being shown to be played out at the moment on the screen. So we are here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It is January the 1st. It is qualifier number 1 for 2023. January runs through 4 qualifiers before we see the final on the 5th weekend of January. So a long January. You need to have raced 2 races and have 2 verified finishes to qualify for the final. So if you are watching the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club for the first time and you're thinking, I quite fancy joining that start line, January is a good month to join us because there is a lot of riding to qualify for that final. So head over to the MyWhoosh website, take a look, download the app, head over to the events page, and all the information around the Sunday Race Club you will find there. You'll find out how to enter the Sunday Race Club. You'll find out what you need to do. Take a look at the technical guide, the rules, plus the frequently asked questions. Take a look and come and join us on the start line.
Indeed. And on that start line, our category 2 and 1 riders know that time is getting closer to come chasing after our category 3 riders on the left of your screen and your category 4 riders on the right hand side of the screen. These riders continue to try and open up that gap. The third category rider has been riding for nearly 7 minutes now. We're less than 3 minutes to the start of category 2. Now, category 2 is one of my favorite categories. And I shouldn't have favorites, but I actually really love the battles and have done since the start in category 2 because maybe it's just because I identify as being a mid-pack rider rather than the superstars on the front. Fortunately, not always stuck at the very back, but definitely the case that the riders in category 2, I think that they're all really, really feisty. They generally are aggressive and they will go on those long range attacks like we've seen Mark Dadson try to do in category 3. But they tend to have a little bit more differential in their power as well. And their strengths are becoming more honed. So you tend to find that when you get into category 2 and 1, the riders really have got dialed what they're good at. Are they a climber? Are they a ruler? Are they a sprinter? What do they want to get out of the race? How do they want to shape the race to make it work? And that's what we're seeing now. Martinelli pushing on here in category 3. You can see he's absolutely winding this up. There is a response coming from Simeo and Mamba as well behind here. You see Efrem Mamba, then it's going to be Simeo Parisi on the move as well. They do not want to let anybody go down the road. They know how dangerous that can be. And they don't want to give away those prizes because those individual prizes that apply for qualifying, of course, are substantial, and that is one of the key things. Now, looks like Hamid, the rider most likely to see these category 3 riders soonest, as we take on our riders in category number 3. Now been racing for nearly 9 minutes. That's a big race start. There's a lot of distance for the riders behind to cover. Our category 2 riders, they've got some serious work to do to chase category 3 and 4 now.
Yeah, they have indeed, because those riders are really moving down as we are watching those category 2 riders on the start line with 50 seconds, less than 50 seconds now until they go.
Indeed, some great riders in category 2 at the moment. And of course, our team in there, the UAE Falcons, are always strong. You've got Hassan Al Ramethri, we've got Al Tanaji, we've got Hamed and Rinosh in there as well. But of course, some really strong riders down as individuals as well. And that is going to be a big, big effect on this race.
Yeah, there's 29 riders on the start sheets today for category 2 and some really great names. Hassan Al Ramethri is in there. He's performed really well on this course before. Francis Ilpino, who took the win in the December final. James Kranich, who was second. We've got Maglio in there, Oviedo in there, Gakes in there.
So here we go, the start of category number 2. Away they go in with Angarito. Can he do the business here today? Can he be the category 2 rider to take away the prizes? He's got a kick to keep in with this bunch. People like Francis Ilpino, though, will be looking to repeat their previous wins on this course. And remember, Ilpino beat all of the Category 1 riders as well when he took his win here, albeit with a little bit of a head start. But that gap, it's about the same again today. So that's going to be really interesting to see whether they can repeat this. And I can't imagine that Il Pino is going to have any other tactic than the one he used before to go hard from the gun and really make some ground.
Yeah, so going hard from the gun, we've got a big group though. Gakes is in there, Wolf is in there, Wicks is in there, Heining's in there. All the names you would expect to see are in this group. They've pushed hard off the start line and they really are motoring this Category 2 ride race field here today to really push on. They must be aware of that start gate behind them with those Category 1 riders in and thinking, how far down the road can we get and how hard can we make that chase for those Category 1 riders today? Because this isn't a big blob wide across the road indicating that this power is settled and the riders are riding together. This is still slightly strung out as a group, showing that the front of this pack are pushing on. I see 4 watts per kilo, 5 watts per kilo in there from riders. Angarita currently pushing 4 watts, Kranich just around 4. They really mean business today, this group.
They do indeed, and you can really see just how hard they are going. As Emma says, it's not blobbed up across the road. There's always an arrowhead here. And that pace, remember, of course, is hot as they go into the climb. They start going uphill just after 1.7K. But look at the distance they've got to make up. It's nearly 8 kilometers to make up onto Category 4, who are on the very front of this race. Category 3 sandwiched in between as well. So plenty of targets to aim for. And as we always say, when you've got riders in front, you've got that carrot in front of you, dangling in front that you're chasing after. You've got that target that you're going for. And it does mean that you just subconsciously push that little bit harder time after time. Now, Tom Gates, one of our real favorite riders to follow. Make sure you give him a follow on social media because he's got quite a good presence there as well. And great to see Tom in action once again, riding from the Netherlands and looking strong as always and nicely in with that pack. Can he finish it off today? Going to be interesting to see because behind him we have our Category 1 riders in the yellow, and it looks to me like that Category 1 race field. Well, looking down those riders, that rider list, they look pretty formidable today.
Yeah, they do indeed. But it's going to be interesting to see who stopped out late to watch the fireworks last night and what impact it has had on anybody's legs.
Well, indeed, on their legs, on their eardrums, because of course they're going to have their teammates shouting in their ears as well. And of course, that time varies around the globe as well. And remembering, of course, esports is a global race. All global competition is affected by time zones. So if you were over in Abu Dhabi, for example, you were 3 hours ahead. You had 3 hours more time for your eardrums to stop ringing in your legs, maybe to recover from the dancing in the streets overnight. Well, let's see if our Category 1 all had an early night. The UAE clan team, the Yorkshire Pudding Express, Swedish Candy Canes, and Danish Pavlovas all represented in the team competition, with the UAE clan team with Mr. X100 Pavlo Popovic, SS Youssef Mirza, and Saeed Safrazad down on the start list. But the Belgian waffle scores Martins and Ekat will be looking to take away top spot from Danish Pavlovas. But we've got Slinky Boys in here as well as PK Trading, and of course, my favourite Italian gelato. That's, I think, my current favourite too. It does vary a little bit depending on what I'm fancying to eat, it has to be said. And thank you, everybody who puts in great team names on the way through. So we are about to start our first category riders. Category number 1 about to set off here on MyWhoosh. So the riders are about to get out and away. Let's see how they are going to get on.
Yep, so we are in with Lucas and Asker at the moment, sat in a big field of 46 start sheets riders today as they are about to wait for the power to go down and the go to happen. The riders are away on the first Sunday Race Club Category 1 race of January 2023. As they go round the roundabout, they push on, and Zanaska is pushing too, and they're moving towards the front, forming the front of this peloton today.
And one or two riders just having to do a little bit of a regroup behind. We've got one real fast attack off the front here, and looks like Phil Graves getting a fantastic start out of the gate. He's gone hard, he's gone early. This is a man who opened his Christmas present with the kids in the morning last week and then rode the finals in the afternoon. What a man, absolutely on a aggressive race start here. He's pushed out early, and it may well be that he's decided he's not going to risk getting caught up a little bit further back and potentially being dropped. The safest form of defense is offense, and at the moment, Phil Graves is on a mission. So the riders away. You can see the chasing bunch right-hand side, the leader left-hand side at the moment. The fast approach in the 1 kilometer mark. And yes, it's a flat start, but Phil Graves is putting a real statement of intent down here. He's still consistently pushing out more power than the chasing bunch on the right-hand side of your screen. So really interesting to see how this is going to play out. And remember, they are chasing the categories in front. Big gaps in front to 2, 3, and 4. So Graves are leading all 4 categories on the road. The chasing group of category 1 riders currently distanced by the power and the pace of Phil Graves at the moment. Interesting tactic by Graves.
Yeah, it is indeed. It's absolutely laying it down and making it clear to the rest of the Category 1 riders, I am going for the gun. January 2023, it's my month, it's my year, you chase me.
So at the moment, those riders are looking at the front to take that gap back down again. But you can see top right-hand side of your screen, gaps opening, riders being distanced off the chasing pack as well. So our solo leader, then the chasing pack, and then riders starting to be distanced by the power and the pace of our leaders. Let's see who is going to take it into the finish. The pace is very hot at the moment now. The team tactics will play a part here. There is a real battle in Category 1 for the bragging rights, for the honour of being the best team on the road. And the UAE clan team being marshaled by Mr. X100, who is currently on the top left-hand screen. They are chasing Category 2. Tom Gates on your screen's top right-hand side, who are chasing Category 3 with Ephraim Mamba on the bottom left of your screen. And then bottom right-hand side, it's Category 4, who are leading on the road at the moment at 12 kilometres, and that is Ledor Mendoza. So 12K for Category 4, 10.5K for Category 3, 5K for Category 2, and 2.5K covered for Category number 1.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. That Category 3 are closing down on Category 4. As we see the prize money just flip up on the screen for these Category 1 riders, as with the other categories, to 5th place in Category 1 as well. And then the team prizes at the end of the month in the January final. So we are in with Jason Osborne, as Osborne is in this group. Graves is still down the road. He's got about 7 seconds. He's still out there on his own. Vujasin SS, Ferry, Vink, Bart van den Eckhout, Jones in the group behind. As we are watching this group, not responding and not pushing hard at the moment, but shortly I imagine someone is going to go and out to collect Phil Graves and not leave him out there on the front for so long.
Well, it's tough if you go. I mean, we've seen riders go solo, but not from the very gun. That is really, really scary stuff. I mean, I wouldn't want to be out there for the full 45K distance. And I'm sure that wasn't Phil's tactic on the way through. Interestingly, Ollie Jones is the rider who's chasing him. Ollie on the Danish Pavlova squad. And that Pavlova squad, of course, having Michael Knudsen on the team today, who, of course, took the win in our finals last week.
Yeah, it did indeed. And we are just seeing the riders catch and, well, not catch, but actually they've got him in their sights as we see them come through the end of segment one. And it is indeed the Category 1 race riders who have come through that segment the quickest in 1 minute 34 seconds for that kilometre. So Jones going through the fastest, indicating that he is pushed on and is pushing on. But realistically, that first 12 all going through within 1 second of each other.
And just taking a look at the time of these riders going in and through. The top 23 riders on that segment are all Category 1 riders. They came through, and 19 seconds, I make it, faster than Category 2 riders. Going to get a double check on that as they go through. So, right, okay, so just taking a little look. The fastest Category 2 rider to go through went through in 10 seconds, 10.96 seconds slower than Category 1. That's Sebastian Wolf. So Wolf was the fastest Category 2 rider. He was 10 seconds down. The fastest Category 3 rider was 15 seconds down on that segment number 1. And our fastest Category 4 rider was 36 seconds slower than the Category 1 leader through Jones. So it gives you a real indication on that segment, and it's quite a short segment, isn't it, Emma?
Yeah, so 1 kilometre, and interesting to see the time gaps and the time differences between those 4 categories, pretty much reflective of the standard and what we would expect to see, but also indicative of what is happening in each race. So we have groups at the front of these races at this moment in time. Category 1 chasing their lone attack from that start line. Category 2 on the right hand side of your screen, still a large group at the front of that race, 7.53 kilometres now travelled of a 45 kilometre race. That group are working well together and rolling through. And off by the look of it off the front to actually keep that pace high, 37.40 kph from that Category 2 front pack at the moment. So really moving forward and moving fast, not far off the kph of the Category 1 pack that we can see on the other side of the screen, but a slightly steeper descent that they're on at the moment, helping with that pace.
It is, and I think the effort difference between them is fairly minimal in terms of its result. And you've got to remember that the Category 1 race field was bigger, but that attack by Phil Graves has provoked an instant response and an instant consequence for many of the riders in Category 1, because that leading group at the moment is minimal in Category 1. It is really whittled that down. And that has two effects. One, it means it's easier to take a prize because there's 5 prizes and less riders to fight for them in contention. But it's reduced down the volume of people who can work on the front of Category 1 as well. And that means there's less bodies to share the workload. And that may well be detrimental when it comes to catching the other categories.
Yeah, and we are now seeing a bit of a push by different riders on the front of this Category 1 pack as we just go under that blue banner there at, excuse me, 5.5 kilometres, indicating the start of segment 2. This is our last race field to go through this segment, so we are expecting to see some fast times here as this group continue to push on.
Well, the time to beat is a 1:24 for Tom Gates in Category 2 at the moment, going through here. So Gates, the rider that they are looking to put a faster time in as they start to overtake the Category 2 riders. We're in with Saeed Safrazad at the moment. And remember, these riders are on the chase. They are looking to close down the group on the right-hand side of your screen. Gates' time, a 1:24, which is still moving very, very quickly indeed. We've seen that on the screens. You've got Tom Gates top right-hand side here. He's hovering around the front of that group. He's not wanting to let any splits go. Meanwhile, left-hand side of your screen, looking just as frantic as Jason Osborne jumps onto the heels of Mr. X100 as they continue to push here. This is going to be the time coming through the gantry here. 1:24.046 time to beat. What time are they going to do? Here we go. Well, look at the difference. that time gap is not the same. It's not as big as last time in terms of differences through Jakob Bjorklund, a 120.4. And that means I think fractionally slow, about 20% slower in terms of the catching time.
Yeah, and so Bjorklund, Al-Theeb, Jones, Safrazad, Vujassin, Graves, Martins, Clark, Osborne, Knudsen, Vanden Eckhout, and Ferry all through in that pack. Less than a second as that pack are moving well together.
They are indeed, and it is a very fast moving group all together who came through there. And I think it's going to be about 2021 riders, Emma. Is that what, by your reckoning, you're the statistician amongst us here? You get the professor title, whereas I don't. This a very well earned title. It's Emma definitely. The rider who's going to be crunching that data. So Jakob Bjorklund with the fastest time through segment number 2, eclipsing that time of Tom Gates. But we're seeing a move now. It's by Il Pino here in category number 2. The team on the cameras down in MyWhoosh HQ, keeping a close eye on 4 races, 4 waves of riders away simultaneously. And that move by Il Pino has triggered a response by Christian Maglio. That's on the right-hand side of your screen. Left-hand side, we're seeing moves again being made in the Category 1 race. So the riders really are pushing on here. And look at this. Il Pino and Maglio are not hanging around here. They really want to rip up Category number 2. They are on the climb at 4%. That is going to be key. Meanwhile, Category 1 are still racing into that next climbing section.
Yeah, they are indeed. And you're right, Matt. 21 riders in this group, in this Category 1 race, and pushing on very, very quickly. We're in with Al-Theeb. Popovic is there. Ferry, Jones, Knudsen. The screen of names are moving so quickly because of the riders rotating through this group. Zanaska is in there, Vink is in there, Vujassin, Ferry. You know, Osborne is pushing on at the front with SS and Mr. X100. Indeed, Mr. X100 pushing hard on those pedals and actually pulling the group down the road with him.
So Category 1 continues to push. They're chasing Category 2 at the moment. Remember, Category 2 is also made up of some very, very fast riders. The group of Category 2 riders, though, is 15 riders strong, with Il Pino again trying to break the elastic. You can see on this climb, he really has gone hard, but Maglio just rocketing up over the top there. And you can just see Il Pino being caught back. Has he done enough damage as Maglio continues to push on this climbing section there at 11.21k covered so far, and as they go over that 11.25 kilometer marker, this gradient, it doesn't ease for a little while yet, and that is definitely to the advantage of the lighter climbers. Now, our next segment starting for Category 1 riders as they continue to rock it on. This is another short segment. The time to beat, though, because this is a hilly segment. 1 minute 36 this time round. So going to be really interesting to see what the time difference is on a hilly section. Can the Category 1 really continue to push? Meanwhile, you can see at the bottom of your screens that the Category 4 riders are still holding off Category 3. They're separated by about 1.5 kilometers at the moment.
They are indeed 1.5 kilometres. It was 2.5, down to 1.5 kilometres now. But that pack on the Category 4 front of that group with Novella in there, Finati in there, Suez is in there, Golban's in there. You know, they are still working well together as a group to keep that pace high and to try and stay ahead of those Category 3 riders behind. You can actually take a look now at the difference between the red riders who are on the lead on the road, and these are our Category 1 riders, just coming up for 10 kilometres now raced.
So as we come in towards the end of the segment time 1:36 for Gutierrez, the fastest time. But with this action from Vujasin and Osborne on the attack, we were seeing 11, 12 watts per kilo being pushed out by these riders on the sprint to try and kick clear. They're not going to hold that, but that has taken them through. Osborne and Vujasin at the top of the standings, 136. 124. They are on the move now, and the action and the aggression of this race is putting in those results, because you look at that time difference. So they had 4 seconds back to Rashad Al Theib, 4 seconds back to SS, 4 seconds to Jones. You can see how close those times are in that chasing pack, but Osborne and Justin clearly meaning business today.
Yeah, and look at that little pickup in that watts per kilo for those first two riders. Osborne and Vujasin sitting around 6 watts per kilo. The riders behind around 5. And that's what's allowed that difference to happen. So this is really evident of that kick from our two riders, Knudsen and Osborne, going down the road.
So they keep on getting pulled back. They keep on attacking again. Phil Graves, Michael Fink, Jason Osborne, Lionel Vujasin, all rotating around the front, and it's doing damage. We are seeing more and more riders in trouble at the back. This is the climb where we saw Il Pino just earlier attacking the riders in category number 2. Maglio doing the same. These are the trigger points. That's what we call a trigger point, the point at which you can trigger an attack by the terrain, where you can trigger a consequence for the rest of the bunch by your actions. Very difficult to do on the flat, very difficult to do on a descent. But where you get a change in terrain, where you get a climb, where you get maybe a change from a descent to a climb, where you've got an ascent to a descent, that change in terrain, that is where you can see those differences dependent on how you ride them. And that is why it's so key for these riders to know the courses and to know what's coming up.
It is, and these Category 1 riders are on the second climb on this course today. It's 3.4 kilometres in length with an average gradient of 2%. But you can see sitting at around 3% the gradient at the moment, and it's really stretched that group. And that graphic on the top right-hand corner of the screen really allows you to show that stretch of what is happening in this race at the moment by that slight harder push. Ollie Jones there sitting at 8 watts per kilo, really seeing the damage that is being done to this group and the stretch to this group and wanting it to continue. So strong and high pace from Jones and Knudsen and Osborne there as we drop in with Mr. X100 here. And I'm taking a look back and trying to see where these riders are. And it's looking like Mr. X100 is actually in trouble here. This push on the front by Knudsen and Safrazad and Osborne has actually done some damage here. And Mr. X100 sitting now about 100 meters back off this group.
He is indeed, but he's with Rashad Al Theib here. And although they're not teammates, it's going to need some cooperation here to pull the group back here. But it may well be that we are seeing a number of riders not on form, or maybe as a result of having a really hard training block. Remember, we are now into January. We're into that new season, and riders are putting in big endurance blocks. I mean, the volume of riders who are going out and training and putting in big distances. We've seen a lot of the pro teams on camps in and around the south of Spain, in and around the coastal areas around the Med, in and those warmer climates. And that is because they are having to put in hours and hours. You don't want to be doing that in the pouring rain. You want to be out doing that in as good conditions as possible. Personally, I think I'll be heading out to the hundreds of kilometers of cycle trails that they've actually got out and around Abu Dhabi and around the UAE, because there are miles and miles of trails, and it's about 40 degrees at the moment.
Yeah, so really interesting to see which riders have been distanced off the back now of this Category 1 group, because looking there, Mr. X100, Lionel Vujasin, Jacob Bjorklund, these are big names who have been distanced by this attack.
They are indeed real definite move here, where they've seen that they've done this damage. Now, if thinking back to a few races ago and into the autumn, we saw Mr. X100 once or twice get distance, and he left his team without that key coordinator in the team. We call him the road captain for the UAE clan team. And generally, he's the man who's marshalling those riders. At the moment, he can't get back on, though. You can see that gap. I mean, 6-7 seconds, it's there. It's nearly there. They are working so hard, but you can see how hard they're having to work to try and stay with the bigger group who have that aerodynamic advantage.
Yeah, and they may well catch this group, Matt. They may well actually get back on. The distance and time is coming down. So now down to about 5 seconds. But the question is, what damage has it done to their legs before they get to the attacks on that final climb? If you've got to burn a match to get back onto a group, how much damage has that done to your race, particularly when you've got a 6.2 kilometer climb coming to the finish line?
Don't think it's a match. I think it's a whole tree that's just been burnt by these two on the way back, because that is a serious effort that has gone in. I think our graphics will be showing one less tree at the side of the road for the amount of energy that's been destroyed out of these riders. They really have had to work hard here. But we see time and time again, riders, you can see it in all sorts of racing. I mean, we're in the middle of the curse period, the Christmas period in the cross, where riders are having different styles of racing, and certain courses suit different riders. It's the same here on esports. Riders push, riders ease, riders push, riders ease. But it's also to do with when they're feeling good in that race. At the moment, Mr. X100 really is having to put in that effort. And you can see at the moment, he's just not able to quite get onto the group. They could almost reach out and touch him. I think the junction's about to be made. Lionel Vujasin is back there as well. And in they come now. He's going to snowball straight the way through, I'd imagine, with that pace he's got on there.
Well, that is it, isn't it? If you come back into the back of a group without modulating your attack pace, you will just snowball straight through that group and go out the front. So really key to modulate that pace coming in and to manage that well.
And that was exactly what we just saw from Mr. X100 when we were talking about not snowballing and diving through the front there, Emma. He absolutely got the right. You can see the revs come right off and then jump in and sit in and make the maximum use of having that group around you.
Yeah, so this category 1 group has whittled. We started with around 21 riders in this group early on in this race, and it is getting smaller and smaller as really big named riders start to go out the back of this pack.
Indeed. Now you can see on our distances, we are at 23 kilometers. So over half race distance covered for the leaders on the road in category number 4, being led by Mendoza, Suarez, Galbon, Finati, Novello in there, along with Vergara. So you can see category 3 there at 21.5K, 17K covered for category 2, and category number 1 currently at 15 kilometers or so. So 2K separating category 1 to 2. That, in theory, could well be enough, I think, if the category 2 riders really continue to push onwards, to keep that gap in until the final climb.
Yeah, so we're just coming through segment 4. Segment 4 is our first 3K segment. And no surprises there. Althebe and Mr. X100 going through that segment the quickest. They were the two chasing back on to that lead group in the category 1 race. And they had a gap to close. It was around 8 or 9 seconds. And look at the times there, 9 seconds back to the group in category 1. Popovic, Sanaska, Martins, Noren, Knudsen, Safrazad, Graves, Vanden Eckhout, SS, Osborne, all going through in that 9 or 10 seconds slower than Althebe and X100, who are doing the work to catch back on.
So really interesting to see those times as they came through. And this, of course, that little bit longer segment, giving us maybe a little bit more of an accurate time across the distance for those riders. When we move on, we're going to be moving on. We remember we've got segments 5, 6, and 7. On segment number 5, another of our longer segments, the category 4 riders have gone through that in 5 minutes 40. Category 3 riders so far through 5 minutes 22. And that is on our next segment up the road. 2 and 1 in terms of categories. Well, they are still to reach that point. So at the moment, it is categories 4 and 3 who are through that point and setting the mark at the moment of 5:22. But expect that to come tumbling down, particularly if we continue to see the aggressive racing that we've seen in categories 1, 2, because they are both looking pretty mean at the moment. The riders here, I mean, Osborne again pushing out, going on the attack. A rider who has ridden MyWhoosh pretty much from its inception, and you can see doing a fantastic job again of riding this platform well. But Michael Vink is straight onto those moves. He's not letting anything go down the road at the moment.
No, and Safrazad is pushing that power down as well. They are covering the moves today. They saw last month, they saw Vink go down the road every single race. Knudsen did it in the final. So they are used to this attacking and pinging off the front. And actually, as a race field, they needed to work out tactics of how to stop it happening, because otherwise it was who could ride off the front, because the person who could ride off the front would be able to win. So it's really good to see all the moves being covered so far this race, and from different riders to really be paying attention to what's going on. Interesting, though, what it's doing to that group. So last time we talked, there were 21 riders in this lead group. There are now 15. We've seen some big names get dropped. We talk about Lionel Vujassin was one of those. He was 20 seconds back off this group. X100 and Al Thieb made the junction to close back onto this group, making this a group of 15 riders now. But really interesting to see how this pace is spreading this group as the attacks come again. And you can see the stretching of the group, the coming back. It's like an accordion. It's stretching and it's coming back, and it's stretching and it's coming back, because the pace on the front of this is staying high. Looking at, Osborne is here, Safrazad is here, Graves is in there. These riders just keep flying down the road one after the other.
And they do, and you can just see the damage being done. If you compare that to category 2, where that leading group are very much a more circular ball, a blob. The same with category 3. Category 4 leaders, well, they have lost some riders. They're down to 6 riders. They've lost a rider out the back of that group, but they look to be riding almost in team time trial formation in comparison to 2 and 3 at the moment. But category 1, it's more about being aggressive and racing against each other than it is with working together.
Yeah, Ollie Jones about to put out 9 watts per kilo as he's going down the road. They just keep attacking here. Very different, as you say, to the front of this category 2 race, where this group seemed to be really working well together, but the distance now is coming down around just over 1.5 kilometers now between category 1 and category 2.
So here we go. The category 1 riders enter our next segment. This is segment number 5. Remember, our category 4 riders are going through there. They were pushing hard, but they came in and through, and they were going through in about 5:40. 5:22 is the time for Mark Dadson, who currently is the fastest category 3 rider through there, but categories 2 and 1 still to hit the finishing line. And segment number 5, Emma, it's a long segment, isn't it?
Yes, it is indeed. So segment number 5 is 3.5 kilometers in length. It is the shorter segment to come, because we are then about to go to 2 5-kilometer segments as we see Vink and Osborne attack again off the front of this category 1 race. But Michael Vink is an absolute star at taking an attack off this group and riding away. But Osborne is there too, and these two mean business, as we're seeing the riders behind start to try and cover this attack, with 10 watts per kilo coming out of El Thieb. Knudsen there as well, pushing on to try and bring these two back.
Well, it looks like they've done it a very, very difficult place to do an attack over the top of the climb. Very difficult place to take on the riders and to put in an attack. You go over the top, you can stretch the gap, you can open that gap up. When you go into that descent, the pack behind us, there's only 2 riders off the front. The rest of that pack have got the advantage in terms of pace. And when you're on a downhill, it is going to tell. However, Vink is not looking like he wants this to stay with this same group in. Remember, he was beaten by Michael Knudsen in the finals last week. And people know he's not actually a machine. He is human after all.
But actually, what's also really interesting, Matt, is we are coming to that time in the race where this pack are going to start to see the back markers in the other race fields, and they're going to start to have riders to pick off and people in their view to catch. Now, if you can see a rider down the road, even someone in a different category, it does give you more motivation and incentive to attack, but it also allows an attack to be more hidden, shall we say, from the rest of the pack, because the other riders get in the way. As we see Vink attack again with Osborne pushing on, SS is covering it. You know, they are trying to really make this race field really dynamic in terms of what's going on in this race today. But boy, is everybody else watching what's going on.
Yeah, they're watching. They're keeping an eye on this. Ollie Jones now on the move. We're on a descent, guys. You know, I'm not sure anybody's told them that it's going to be so much harder, but the constant yo-yo in pace will suit some riders better than others. Now, just watching Eduardo Parisi, right-hand side of your screen, as we see Category 1 on the left. Parisi working really hard here. He is the rider leading the Category 3 competition at the moment. And Parisi are putting in a big push at the moment as they go in and through. Ollie Jones again now on the attacking Category 1. It's all action here on MyWhoosh on the Sunday Race Club as Ollie Jones is our next rider to attack, being covered by Althebe and SS in that chasing group. We're heading in towards the end of segment 5, not long before we get a snapshot on these riders coming through. We've just seen Tom Gates come through for Category 2, leading Category 2 in terms of times through the segment 5. He's got it down to a 5:18. That's only 3 seconds faster than the Category 3 riders.
Well, there was a bit of an attack, wasn't there, on that Category 3 race going through that segment. So Category 3 obviously taking on the same tactics at this stage in the race as Category 1, as we start to see them move towards the banner here, which indicates the end of this segment. We'll start to see those times come through. But interesting that we're starting to see the race fields start to light up this.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Look at that. We were on 5 minutes, 17 seconds as the fastest time through this segment. 4:23 from Althebe, who had chased into the group and was then aggressive on the front side. Safrazad, Mr. X100, 3 seconds behind. Remember, of course, this is through that segment. What a result at the moment so far on segment number 5. Althebe, Safrazad, Mr. X100, Zanaska, Popovic, Graves, Noran, Clark, Jones, Martins, Knudsen, and Eckhout all motoring in and through that segment and smashing apart the fastest time that had been set by our previous categories.
That is nearly a minute in 3.5 kilometres. This Category 1 field have caught Category 2 field by. Absolutely outstanding. But what is going on in this Category 1 race today is pulling these riders down the road and making these catches as we see them about to go past Dexter Albello, one of the back markers in that Category 2 race.
And Dexter Abello, I mean, he's an absolutely class rider. Really good to see him when he's on form. Today, maybe not going to be his day, but he has the chance now to take that motivation. You can just see that green jersey jumping up onto the back. So fantastic to see just how fast he's going. So here we go, back on to our 4 screens. 1 in yellow, 2 in green, 3 in blue, and Category 4 in the red. This is going to be a very fast finish, and Category 1 mean some serious business today. It's like they've got up and had a New Year's resolution to put the most aggressive racing down that they can from the word go, and that's what we're seeing.
It's great viewing, though, isn't it? Because it really gives our viewers an indication of what is possible on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club and how these Category 1 riders, what tactics they use, how they cover the moves, and how we see the action play out in front of us as Mr. X100 takes his turn now to push on the front of this group. And we see Popovic there and Safrazad and the group just coming back as they sit up, but actually moving really well and still moving fast as a group today.
And that distance is coming down 25.15k for category 2, 24.55 for category 1. The distances are coming down. It's the closest distance, I think, at the moment between our riders. So the first catch is going to be between category 1 and category 2. Category 1 moving so fast that riders like Rashad Al-Thib, who set the fastest time through a last section, getting distance. Meanwhile, category 3 here, you see another attack by Mark Dadson on the next climbing section here. It's another move by Dadson. He's taken Parisi with him, Lopez Duque, along with Restrepo, Noack, and co, all chasing behind. I think they're going to close this gap down. In fact, here they come. They are at 29k. In fact, it's 600 meters to category 4 in front because we are on the climb. So the riders on the right hand side of your screen on the bridge and climbing hard, and it's about 600 meters the difference, and you can see these riders about to come in underneath that rock arch. Going to be very interesting to see how close that goes. Now, Lucas Zanaska, another attacker in category number 1 behind Vink Knudsen and Popovic, all trying to respond to this. They want to take clear 2 or 3 riders, maybe 4, maybe 5, but they do not want this big group to roll into the climb together. It could be they want more sliding room off a pure climber, somebody like Ollie Jones, who we know will go hard on that last climb. It may well be that what they're wanting to do is just tire everybody's legs out before they go to the finish. But look at this, attack after attack. I'm sure I've just seen Johan Noren go off down the road.
You have indeed. Noren's kicking out at 8.5 watts per kilo. He has indeed done the let's watch the group come back together and launch a surprise attack. And Noren is pushing on here. He's got a couple of seconds and a bit of daylight, but you're right, Matt. This is a group of 15 Category 1 riders, and this race is really hard. You do not want to take 15 riders into the bottom of that Category 3 final climb today, and they are doing everything possible to try and shake this group. Very, very attacking riding from Category 1 today.
It is aggressive riding, and good to see Johan Noren. He's a rider, again, who has improved and improved on his way through the course of 2022. What's 2023 going to bring him? We're going to find out. I think at the moment it's not going to bring him a solo, a breakaway, because Vink, Osborne, Knudsen, and co are coming. But look at this, it's one long, thin line on the road. Everybody up against it, because this is a very gradual climb. This is not steep, and that means that that pace is high. We're still talking between 35 and 42 kilometers an hour. So that's about 23 to 25 and a half miles an hour uphill.
Yeah, so Noren is interesting because Noren is an elite mountain biker as well as an esports racer, and we always have a conversation to think how interesting it is to see the different skills and techniques of different cycling disciplines come together on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. We have road riders, we have mountain bike riders, we have elite triathletes, as well as indoor specialists, all coming together on the platform on the Sunday Race Club.
We have indeed now. Just watching Dario Finati here in category 4 just go clear off the front. He's attacked as he's gone over the top of the hill. He's into this descent now. He has 6 seconds on Golborn, Mendoza, Novello, Suarez, along with Vergara. It looks like to me like this gap really has opened up. So Vergara again low, having to push with the rest of that category 4 to chase back the leaders. Meanwhile, Category 1 are rocketing their way along at the moment, and you can see there is no respite in the attacks that are going as we see another rider go down the road. Again, someone else wanted to go and take this on. We're going uphill and it's Michael Vick who's gone on the attack. But this is not a race-winning move, surely. I think that was just a little probing attack. It just went quiet for a second. He wanted to keep pushing as they kept on going through. So real aggressive racing here today on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, 1st of January, brand new year 2022. And it's great to see everybody coming out with some renewed aggression and attacking racing here as we see Norrin up the road again, being chased this time by Michael Knudsen. And I think that's going to be Mr. X100 of the UAE clan team, who has also come across that gap, very aware of the danger. Osborne quickly back there as well. Everybody wants it today.
Yeah, Knudsen is there too, and Knudsen is continuing at 7 watts per kilo rather than sitting up having to make the catch. He's continuing to push on as we switch back in to this category 3 race. Dadson is down the road, and Parasi is now coming over and trying to juncture that gap in this race. So it's a 1-2 with a gap back to the group behind. So Parsi trying to make the gap from that group over to the lead rider, Cameron Dadson, and that juncture's just been made now. So 2 riders out front, a 3-second gap back to the group in that category 3 race now. Dadson pushing on and working with Parsi. Will they stay clear?
Meanwhile, on category number 1, they're about to make the catch. This is the first catch of the day being made. It's category 1 chasing down the leaders in category number 2. This is where they get to see the express train coming. The yellow express is on its way. It's our category 1 riders. Will they sweep through the riders in category 2? I think they are, because category 2 have been very aggressive as well, and everybody's on the limit. And again, we talk about that confusion. Look at what it's done to category 2. It has smashed it apart, and that group is a real mishmash of category 1 and category 2 riders. They've caught them on a climb though, and this should mean that category 1 riders are going to be able to drop the category 2. And in fact, I think we've still got a few category 2 riders in front, just looking up at our screens here. So it looks like they've caught the back end, my apologies, the back end of category 2 in terms of a bunch, and a split has clearly occurred in category 2 on this climb. So look at this. This is where things get very, very difficult. You've got to keep an eye on everything moving at once whilst putting out your maximum power and your maximum watts.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? You know, it's not just keeping your eye out as the category 1 riders pass the category 2 riders, but keeping your eye out as to which of the category 2 riders jump in and try and hold that group for as long as possible, and to make the benefit of actually having that group come past them, and which of the category 2 riders are going straight out the back. And it is a real mix and match here, but we've got Maglio in here and Kranich from the category 2 race field. Absolute class category 2 riders with Il Pino and Angarita as well. Now, I would expect these 4 riders to be able to stay with this group for some time before we get probably distancing themselves on that climb at the end.
And this is key, isn't it, for these category 2 riders? The longer they can stay in this group, the further up the road they will be from anybody that is distanced, and the more sliding room they've got if they do have a problem on that final climb. Because remember that course profile, it goes uphill at the end, and boy, does it go uphill. That is key. Meanwhile, you can see Michael Vink looking to take advantage of that confusion. Once again, a master tactician, as well as being a phenomenal athlete. He's always looking for the opportunity to push onwards and to break clear. But look at this, Jason Osborne, again, looking to take that move out and to break it down. Incredible to see just how hard they're pushing, but brilliant riding by these category 2 riders who are staying in there. Look at the volume of green jerseys.
Yeah, and they are hanging on to the back of that group. When that attack went down, the yellow jerseys brought it back. The green jerseys did the right thing, and they stayed at the back, and they made the benefit of that draft, and they didn't panic, and they thought it would come back together again. It has indeed. And the benefit of the draft is exactly what they need to be using. You shouldn't be seeing those green jerseys hanging off the front of this group. You should see them to the back, because they want the green numbers. So on the top left-hand side of your screen, you'll see that the Watts numbers different. Sometimes they're in black, sometimes they're in green. The green numbers indicate the rider is utilizing the draft of the other riders and actually getting a slightly easier ride and a slightly easier effort than having their nose out front and those numbers being black.
So you can just see Tom Gates in the Category 2 competition in with the leaders here. Our riders at 30, just over 31k for the riders in Category 1 and 2. 3 and 4 are both very similar. This is a way. They're about 35k into this race, so they still have a substantial gap and about 500 meters separating Category 3 from Category 4. So at the moment, 3 and 4 not far apart from each other. Categories 1 and 2 leaders are together, and you can just see that pack with Parisi 3 minutes 35 up the road. That's the distance. It's about 3.5 to 4 minutes at the moment between the leaders of Category 3 from Category 1, and Category 4 is not that far in front of Category 3 at the moment.
Yeah, so it's looking like, isn't it? Just shy of 2 kilometers they are ahead. Now, the base of the climb, the Category 3 climb that finishes this race today, comes at 38.8 kilometers. So the lead on the road, not so far off of the base of that climb. They would be taking this run in and they will be rolling into. So we can see with the Category 3 leaders currently just coming up for 35 kilometers traveled, so 3.8 kilometers from the base of the climb. The question is, do you think Category 3 and Category 4 will get to the base of that climb today before the catch is made?
Yeah.
You do?
Well,
that was quite
there
adamant there.
Yeah, I think they're going to go there, and I'll tell you why I think they're going to go there. Going to get there. I think it's going to be very, very close. I think they won't last long once we hit the climb, but because of the terrain that we run into that climb. Now, Parisi was working well. The downside on my maths is that he's gone through that last segment 1 minute 50 down on Rakad Al Thebe. So Al Thebe going through nearly 2 minutes quicker, but this is a long segment. Segment six is going to be, I think, 5k long. So that's a fairly substantial length distance. And what for me is going to be key, we're on that running to the climb. So riders are going to be thinking about that climb. And whilst you're going to get aggressive rides by people like Vink and Osborne, who are always on the attack, as I think it's just basically dialed into their DNA, I don't think there's enough volume of riders who will want to keep the pace high all the way into the base of the climb. They'll want to think about saving something onto that climb and hitting the climb with the maximum power available, not in the red, not having fatigue, being in there with the best chance to go up that climb quickly. And that is going to help the riders in front, 2 minutes. And look at the distance. We're at 33.6k. It's doable by Category 4 and 3 to stay clear to the climb.
Yeah, and that attack has really started to make some challenges there to our riders in that lead group, as it really, really stretched that mixed group. We had 14 Category 1 riders in that group, and the attack off the front has stretched it. And we've seen, I think, Category 1 and Category 2 riders get distance now, as we see Vink continuing to push on. Yeah, look at that. Al Thebe is off the back of that group. Cadiz is off the back. Borgen, Gakes, Ospina is off the back. So these riders were all part and parcel of that large mixed group of Category 1 and Category 2 riders, as we see Vink attack again off the front and really try and ensure that none of those distance riders get back on this train.
Well, Michael Vink being chased by SS. It looks like the UAE clan team are very aware that they do not want to let Vink go before that climb and build up any kind of margin. Al-Thib at the moment, though, in no man's land. He's been distanced from that lead group because he is a solo rider. He's not going to get any draft. He's not going to be able to take advantage of anybody really out there, not in the same way that you're going to see that leading group, and it's reflected in the speeds that they are traveling on what is essentially the same terrain. They're both at 0%, but it is still much quicker in the pack than it is solo, with lots of riders benefiting from the draft as well. But look at this Michael Vink, I think, looking to try and prove me wrong, trying to catch the riders back as we come in to the base of the climb. Going to be really interesting to see. That gap is starting to come down, but is it coming down enough?
Yeah, so is it coming down enough is a really good question. As we see these riders push on, we've got 1, 2, 3 category 3 riders in this group that I'm counting at the moment. So Il Pino is in there. So Il Pino, one of our really strong category 3 riders. We've seen outstanding finishes from him. He won the December final last week, so a rider really on form.
It is, but we've seen another attack and another response having to come behind. Vink being closed down by SS, but we saw Pablo Popovic and Said Safrazada working really hard to get that gap back as well. So really interesting to see this constant rolling washing machine effect as Mr. X100, the next rider, to continue to push through. He's continuing the effort that he used to close down the gaps. Meanwhile, off the back of the group, Rakad Al-Thib now well and truly distanced the gaps into double digits. You can see now separated by what is well over 150 meters on the road. But Mr. X100 has put an interesting move in here because he has been joined by Pablo Popovic, and this is two UAE clan team riders on the front here. So Popovic and Mr. X100 have the gap, and behind it's being left to a second category rider to make the chase.
Yeah.
So look at this. It's all of a sudden there's been a little bit of a stall in the group, and they are opening this gap up. And behind, that gap is not coming down because Popovic and Mr. X100 have opened a substantial lead in a very short space of time.
And where are the chasing groups? You know, when Vink and Knudsen have attacked, we've seen some really strong responses, but Vink and Knudsen are not attacking to close that gap down. You know, Knudsen's sitting at 5 watts, and there it comes. I've just seen 10 watts per kilo from Ollie Jones. Someone had to respond, and Jones is the guy to do it.
He is indeed. He always says he waits and he waits and he waits. But look at this. He's trying to come across. He's got about 50% more power than the guys in front in terms of watts per kilo to make the junction. But this will then become 3 riders in front. And that's maybe a wise move by Mr. X100 and Pablo Popovic. Get Jones up there. Because, of course, if Jones is up there, that suddenly means that Knudsen and Osborne, well, they shouldn't, in theory, chase.
Well, that's it, isn't it? But X100, Popovic, and Jones now is 3 men up the road. And you talked earlier on, Matt, about needing to get 3 or 4 riders clear to stay away from this absolute elite category 1 field today. And you know what? Popovic, X100, and Jones might just be that 3.
Well, I think that's a really good 3. Pablo Popovic has taken victories at the top of climbs. Mr. X100 has been a winner before, as well as marshalling all of his team. You've got Ollie Jones, a master tactician, a rider who knows when to go. To be honest, if Ollie Jones goes into a breakaway, you know it is a dangerous breakaway because he doesn't chase needlessly. He doesn't put the effort out needlessly. He waits and waits, and look at the gap back. I mean, I just saw 12 seconds back, I think it was, to SS, who was doing 1.9 watts per kilo.
Yeah.
It was just pulling through. And why not? They saved its strength.
Well, you say that. Knudsen is now kicked at 7, is now gone back down to 5 watts per kilo. I think, you know, it may be a little early to say, but I think that we might be waiting and seeing what now happens on the climb, because at 37.7 kilometers for the front of that pack, it's not far now. It's only 1.1k off of that climb. And perhaps now the chasing group are going to wait and take us to the steep slopes and see some action there.
I think that's going to be the case. I think people are very aware they're at 37.8k, and I will revel in the moment because I think our category 4 are onto the climb. They are at 39.37, which officially does that put them onto the base of the climb there, Emma?
It does indeed. They are well and truly
Get in.
500 metres into that climb now.
There you
It is a
go.
6.2 kilometre climb, 5.2% average gradient, but that is just the average, and it's definitely steeper sections to come.
I tell you something, you've got to take the wins when you can, and I'm going to make the most of the fact that we have got the leaders in category 4 up onto the climb. I think category 3 leaders are going to make it as well up on to the climb before we see the leaders in category 1 hit that. Our 3 leaders in category 1, that's Mr. X100, Ollie Jones, and Pablo Popovic, have the gap now. But have they done too much too soon? Because they are going to find themselves on to the steeper slopes very shortly. And as Emma says, the profile is absolutely key.
Yeah, it is indeed. And it's absolutely key because we've got some absolutely class climbers in this field today. So X100, Popovic and Jones clear now. In fact, they've got a group of category 3 riders between them and the chasing category 1 group behind.
And in that category 1 group behind, you say there's climbers in there. Give us an example.
So Boris Clark is in there actually. So a new rider from New Zealand. Pretty much states one of his skills is indeed climbing. So looking to see what he can do today. We've got Knudsen, who is a virtual Everesting champion. We've seen him climb really strongly. Osborne, again, a great climber, putting out really good power. Popovic as well. You know, we've seen great climbing off him. And one of the things that we've really seen is knowing how to ride this final climb as well. That is absolutely key.
It is because there are steeper sections and there are more gradual sections on this course. Now, Michael Knudsen on the move, right hand side of your screen, just seen well over 400 watts come out, and it looks to me like this is now provoking a response. Remember, we've got Mr. X100, Ollie Jones, and Pablo Popovic nearly quarter of a minute down the road. So you can see the chase coming. Boris Clark is indeed in there, just seeing him come through. I think rides for a French club. From Marseille looks pretty strong to me, and he's well and truly in this mix. Could he spring a surprise on some of our established stars? But look at the pace that they are moving. We are on these steeper sections. We're into 6%. We're over that average gradient, but it's going to kick much, much more to allow for the downhills that give us that mathematical average, which is definitely not representative of what is a nasty, nasty stepped climb.
Yeah, it is indeed a nasty, nasty step climb, as we can see Ollie Jones now. It's a 2-man breakaway, so 3 has become 2 in the lead on the climb today, with the chase group now whittled down to about 9 riders in the chase group, but we've got 5 riders out front in the category 3 race and 2 lead riders in the category 4 race. And this is all coming down to this climb now, as the category 3 leading riders start to pick off the category 4 riders on this climb.
So Mendoza leading category 4, Parisi in that lead group for category 3, Knudsen in the chase group, as well as our leading category 2 riders. And then we've got the very front of the race being broken up and splitting in category 1. So who's going to get to the top of the climb first? Or will we see category 1 able to sweep everybody out of the way? It's Ollie Jones and Pablo Popovic, the 2 riders who have got probably the most sort of proven skills of going clear on a climb. Popovic regularly taking the win at the top, particularly adept at making sure he gets the timing to the line right. If you take Popovic into a final with 2 or 3 riders, you're a brave man to bet against him, because he knows how to ride the momentum, to use the course profile to his advantage. But look at the numbers. 12% I've just seen on this slope, where Ollie Jones at the moment is trying to open the gap to Popovic. Meanwhile, our Category 4 leader at 40.6 is just up the road. There's not a lot of difference between the leaders of Category 4, the leaders in Category 3, and are chasing a group behind, and it could all come back together almost simultaneously here. So here we go. Look at this. Jones is going to roll straight over the top, straight into the race lead. I think if he can catch up with Mendoza, who is just up the road. One more Category 4 rider to go. Jones at the moment has got one man in front of him. It's this man. It's Ledo Rodo Mendoza. Come on, Ledo. This is the time to push. Don't go looking over your shoulder. They're on their way and they're coming quick. But this is great riding. It's taken until 40.76k for our Category 1 riders to catch up. And Jones and Popovic are the riders that do it.
Yes, Jones pushes on and Popovic is just on his rear wheel coming up behind him. You know, they have now lead on the road as well. Safrazad and Knudsen are the two chasing Category 1 riders behind. It's looking like that Category 1 group has decimated behind Mr. X100 about 5 seconds further back, with Vink and SS and Noren split all over the road. This is all coming together, but absolutely decimating this Category 1 race today, as Jones and Popovic are now 7 seconds clear of Knudsen and Safrazad. This is going to be a great finish today.
And Michael Vink is closing hard behind. He's not that far off. He's got Mr. X100 on his wheels. So Knudsen marked out by Safrazad and Vink marked out by Mr. X100. You've got Popovic marking out Ollie Jones up in front. They were in pairs. Not so sure that's going to stay that way. It's Pablo Popovic now is in front of Jones, and his teammate is coming up. You got Knudsen continuing to kick. The two pairs have become 4, I think, and I think it's not going to be long if they're not careful. It's going to become 5 or 6. They are all over the road, and it is exchanging places really fast at the moment. Remember, we've got a long way to go on a climb. We are currently at 41.5k, which means with 3.5k to the summit, and still we're seeing attack after attack.
Yeah, so with 3.5 kilometers to go in this race, we've got Knudsen, Safrazad, Popovic and Jones clear of Vink, Noren, SS, and these other Category 1 riders. So Mr. X100 is there, Martin Martins is there. These riders are now with small gaps, and it's completely dependent on what is going to happen here.
So here we go. It is Johan Noren that we're in with. He's in P6. He's chasing all the riders, and we've seen a little bit of a change over. Michael Knudsen, the man who took victory last week in our final, was leading from Popovic. Popovic right with him. Saeed Safrazad also, along with Ollie Jones. Then it got back to Vink, SS, and Noren. But look at this. There is some serious strength in depth from the UAE clan team here today. They really are trying to push on here. Can they take the individual victory here as they come through? Remember, prizes today for our individual riders. It is bragging rights up at stake in terms of the team competition. I'll tell you something, they're a proud bunch of that UAE clan team, and they are not going to give up on this. And you can see, I think Mr. X100 are very aware that he's the third counter for that UAE clan team at the moment. He's only a couple of seconds ahead of SS, who would be the fourth rider in the mix. Remember, it's top 3 riders to count for the team competition, and that is for pride at this stake.
Okay, it is an interesting one, isn't it? Because Knudsen and Jones also ride for the same team, Danish Pavlovas. So it is a 2-team breakaway at the front with Knudsen, Safrazad, Popovic and Jones. Vink is probably, I think, going to make the catch at some point, because if anybody can, Vink can. As we are watching Mr. X100 coming through those tunnels, just being joined, I think, by Johan Noren. So X100 has company with Noren now, and I think a little bit of company for the last 2.5 kilometers is really going to make some difference.
So as we're on these steep slopes, Emma, we're coming up. This is not a flat running, is it, by any stretch of the imagination? You talked right at the start of the show about the climb, about the steep sections, the dips, the almost descent sections before those final kickers. And that makes a big, big difference, doesn't it, into how you ride and where you put the power down.
Yeah, so the Allure Heritage climb is a really interesting one. It is indeed a stepped climb, and with flat and indeed downhill sections on it. And knowing that the climb is really important. You can see at the moment we've just had a 1.1% section moving and transitioning into an 11% section. Momentum is key, cadence is key. These things are really important. And the finish today, knowing the finish is really important because there is indeed a downhill run before the final kicker to the finish line. And you really need to know where to put the power down because it is not always straightforward or what you would expect.
No, and we've got to remember, of course, that everybody's system and how they ride will have a different feel to it and how they can respond to that. Now, interesting to see that Ollie Jones has been passed by Michael Vink. Well, Emma said if anybody can, Michael Vink can. I think at the moment, Michael Vink is not only can, but he's well and truly can do as he's on his way towards Knudsen and Popovic. But will Saeed Safrazad be a rider too far at the moment? We are seeing Safrazad, another rider who has taken mountaintop victories for that UAE clan team, leading this out. He's got to just under 1.5k to go. And where he kicks and where he uses that power is going to be critical on the way through. Emma talks about knowing where to put the power down. And that is why riding it, you can do all the theorizing you want, but unless you ride this regular and ride it at race pace, you are not going to know exactly how that's going to play out.
Yeah, it is indeed a really interesting finish, and understanding the dynamics and the momentum of the downhills and the ups and how you transition between the flat downhill and up on this climb particularly is absolutely key to winning at the top of this climb today. We are watching Michael Knudsen. Knudsen has indeed made the juncture he is with Pablo Popovic. Saeed Safrazad is 8 seconds down the road. Vink is 5 seconds back. It is really interesting because as they go around this corner, they may well start to see Safrazad, but Safrazad is pushing on. He's actually keeping a really consistent pace up there of around 6 watts per kilo. But Knudsen is thinking, if I don't push now, Safrazad, I am not going to catch. So there is 1 kilometre now to go in this MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club as we see those final segments come onto the screen. Safrazad indeed has pushed on and attacked 9 seconds faster through that 5 kilometre segment than Knudsen, 16 seconds faster than Vink, 28 seconds faster than Popovic, and 43 seconds faster than Ollie Jones. This climb is really starting to take things out of people's legs today.
It is, and Saeed Safrazad, absolutely storming ride. It shows you what a climber he is, because remember, he's not that far up the road in terms of distance over Ollie Jones, but what he's done, he's come from behind and gone through the group and gone off the front. So Saeed Safrazad, the race leader at the moment on this really nasty steep section, he'll then go into the descent, which comes as you go through the tunnel. You go through this tunnel, you take the right-hand turn, dip down, and then it kicks back up again. He's into his last 500 meters here. The chase is on behind with Knudsen and Popovic, Vink, Jones, and Noren. However, Saeed Safrazad on the right-hand side of your screen could well do it today for the UAE clan team, who are also looking to take away the top spot in the team rankings.
Yeah, so with less than 400 meters to go, Safrazad is pushing on and pushing on hard. Knudsen is not far behind, 3 seconds back to Michael Knudsen as Safrazad pushes with 150 meters to go. He's on the downhill segment now and he's going to kick and you're going to see the finish line in front and it's coming fast and Safrazad goes through that line. Knudsen isn't going to make it, but Knudsen is going to ride clear for second place as Popovic comes through as well to that finish line today. Wow, what a 1, 2, 3.
What a 1, 2, 3. And you can see Safrazad, Knudsen, Popovic, your 1, 2, 3. Vink is going to take 4th place here today, being chased by Ollie Jones in 5th. Johan Noren in 6th place at the moment. 2 riders up there. for the UAE clan team. One Danish Pavlova, and that gap at the line, 5 seconds as it go through now. The next Pavlova rider is in. That is Ollie Jones, but he's given away a little bit of time in that team competition. And remember, the rankings as they go through are made up of top 3 fastest riders. Who's going to be the next rider in? It's going to be Johan Noren. Great ride by Johan Noren, who comes through. He's the first Italian gelato rider, but Mr. X100 is going to round out the UAE clan team. And I think that means that they are going to push themselves into top spot. We have to see the rest of the riders come in to the finish. And look at that, they've got SS behind as well, taking away spots in the top 10 from everybody else. So great riding by them. So what a race so far. And remember, we have our category 2, 3, and 4 leaders still out on the climb, making the way into the finish.
We have indeed. So Safrazad 1, Knudsen 2, Popovic 3, Fink 4, Jones 5, Noren 6, X100 7, SS 8, and Martin's currently in 9th place today.
So our riders continue on. It's good to see Martin Martins. Another good ride by Martins. He keeps on pushing those in. Just watching Lucas Zanaska go in and through there. So Zanaska, another good ride by him here at the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. And just seeing Andres Restrepo going through. So Restrepo holding off the category 2 chasers behind. Good climb by him ahead of Lopez. And they come in and through the finish there. So Restrepo from Lopez, the 1-2 in category number 3 there. So good results for them. And going to be interesting to see as these riders continue to come in, who's going to take victory in category 2 and in category 4. It should be Francis Ilpino. I think he's the leading rider in category 2. He's just coming up to the top of the climb before the final descent and kicker to the finishing line. So into that descent, you can see this is where momentum, as I was saying, is absolutely key, to drop down here and then come back up once again. So Francis Ilpino is going to take away victory in category 2. He comes in and through the line. And look at this, the man who led the Category 1 riders out at such a pace, Phil Graves, will be our next finisher. He's just ahead of James Krasnich. Krasnich going to come through second place in Category 2. Looks like Parisi and Dadson in there, and Jason Osborne climbing well on the climb, but not able to make it count in terms of victory today. But it's going to be Phil Graves, our next rider, in and through that finishing line. So great racing here today on MyWhoosh. Great to see Phil Graves back in action. Emma, what a way to kick off 2023.
Oh, that was an absolutely amazing final climb, not just in our Category 1 race, but in our Category 2 and Category 3 today.
Well, thank you very much for joining Emma and myself here. Don't forget, of course, you can catch up with MyWhoosh on social media. You can catch up with @BikingEmma and @MattFixerPain on social media, as well as at Full Speed Events. And don't forget, of course, you can be straight back with us. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Emma and I will be back for the women's race very shortly. And it's looking like it. Given our race fields that we've seen, it's going to be another absolutely cracking start to 2023. So from myself, Matt Payne, from Emma, from all of the team at MyWhoosh, we'll see you soon.
Goodbye.